This video is going to hopefully help educate you on how to put together a first aid kit for your shop, for your home. I use this for both. In fact, I use this for another thing as well. I take this out with me when I'm with the Scouts. This is the first aid kit I keep at my base camp. And what I'd like to do is just go over a lot of the things that I have in it to help give you an idea of what you can put in your kit at home. Alright, what I'm going to do is kind of work my way across the table here. The first thing, I have triangular bandages. Now these things you can find in many store-bought first aid kits. They usually give you one. My kit, I carry 6. If I'm out on a hike and somebody falls and breaks a leg or something, I have enough material where I can splint that person's leg. Having 6 of them is more along the lines for my Boy Scout leadership role. I also carry a blood pressure cup and a stethoscope, and it's nice to be able to tell whether or not somebody's having heat stroke or a heart attack. Relaying the correct information to an ambulance crew can determine whether that person actually survives this crisis. I have a couple of different latex bandages, band-aids here. I have some sterile stretch bandages. I have my cling in 2 different size rolls. I carry a tourniquet, and this is something I hope I never ever have to use. These are only used in cases of severe bleeding and in a situation where you think that a limb might be amputated. So that's one of those things. It's great to have, but you pray you never ever have to use it. Butterfly closures. Now these guys are great. If you have somebody who has a cut and it's a deep enough cut where you think they might need stitches, you can use these in place of the stitches and they will hold very well until you can get them to a doctor or a hospital. I have some extra large plastic strips. These guys are basically giant glorified band-aids. They're great. Scissors. Now these scissors are a full-size pair of Fisker scissors, and these guys are made in the United States. They got the stainless steel blades on them. I mean, they are awesome scissors. The first aid kits you typically buy, grab a pair here. First aid scissors, these guys are wimpy little things. They're good for cutting tape and pads and things like that. But if I need to cut somebody's pant leg to get direct access to a wound if they were to fall on something and get a puncture wound, let's say, I know I could take this pair of scissors and slice their pant leg completely off if I had to in a matter of seconds. Another quality thing you want to have in stainless steel is a good pair of tweezers. If I had $1 for every time I needed these guys, they would have paid for themselves already. These guys were $20. I know that sounds extreme for tweezers, but if you're working in a metal shop and you have metal splinters, these guys have needle tip points on them. You can grab the end of anything and get it out of your finger quick. These things are worth their weight in gold. Now back here, this is not medication. This is actually a pill bottle full of safety pins. Now, I know first aid-wise safety pins, hey, what can they be used for? But that poor guy that I had to cut his pant leg off to get to the puncture wound, if I'm going to transport him to the hospital or he's going to ride in an ambulance, I can put 4 or 5 safety pins in his pants and actually hold his pant leg together. Give the guy some dignity. I have a whole bunch of different styles of tape. I have cloth, paperback tape, I have waterproof tape. Usually 2 or 3 rolls of tape of various types is a good thing to have in your first aid kit. Excuse me. They all have different applications and they all work really, really well. I have eye irrigation solution along in my kit. I carry the eye patch. I didn't bring that out just yet. Excuse me. Having a little bit of a throat issue today. Now down here, this is one of the most important things you can possibly have in your first aid kit. I have latex gloves, and I also have synthetic surgical gloves for those people who have that latex allergy. There are some people out there who have severe reactions to latex. So I do carry each kind. This is a little spray applicator. It comes with a pen cap on it. You can put it in your pocket, shirt pocket, whatever. This is hand sanitizer. Now whether you choose to have something like this or the Purell stuff, or even if you want to wash your hands with isopropyl alcohol after you take off your gloves, anything you can do to safeguard yourself, to protect yourself, you do it. You come to the aid of a stranger if you're dealing with blood and bodily fluid. Even with gloves, you want to make sure you thoroughly wash your hands afterwards. Coming to the aid of a stranger is, it's a good thing. If you want to be a good Samaritan, I'm all for that, but, protect yourself in the process. I also carry a little bit of baby powder. It's come up on certain situations where it was just needed, and it's one of those things that I put in my kit, you know, just to have around, because it does arise every once in a while where somebody forgets it at home in a diaper bag or whatever, and you know, if I'm out at a family event or at an SCA event, it's good to have. I carry an assortment of sterile pads, 4x4s, 3x3s, 2x2s. I've got the rest of them in my kit. And the last thing on the table, I have a instant cold compress pack. So that's pretty much the bulk of what I keep in my main compartment. I'll show you the rest in just a second. This is my first aid kit. And basically what it's built out of is a very big tackle box. Now I chose a tackle box because, like I said, I do take this out with the Scouts. It does sit in all kinds of weather, and this tackle box has the ability to keep what I have inside nice and dry. Alright, here we are on the inside. Everything that you saw in the first part of this video was stored in the center large compartment. I also have other things in here. I have my other triangular bandages. I have some clings, my 4x4, 2x2, different size gauze pads, and I even have an abdominal pad in here. This tray over here is kind of like my utility tray. I keep finger splints, a pack of matches, a Swiss Army knife, and a lock blade knife. I also have an eyeglass repair kit. That's come in handy a lot of times. I carry a pen, actually two. Now these things, you may wonder what the heck do you put a ballpoint pen for in a first aid kit? Well, it has a couple of uses. The traditional uses, you know, you write things down. If you can take down information that you want to give to an ambulance driver or to a hospital when you drop somebody off, the more accurate your information is, the better off it is for that person. So being able to take down information is great. Also, if somebody gets some kind of a sting from an insect or an insect bite, and they don't know if they're allergic to bees or things of that nature, you can circle the bite and the inflammation. And if it continues to spread and gets bigger, and that inflammation goes outside of your circle, you know that they're having an adverse reaction to that bite, and you can act accordingly. The other thing that you can use a pen for, and it's not something I hope I ever have to do, a pen, if you take it apart, you have a hollow tube, and it is something that you can use if you have to perform a tracheotomy on someone. You can use this to actually open up their airway after you cut a hole in their neck. Like I said, you don't want to do this at home if you don't have to. Call the professionals. But having a pen in a first aid kit, it does have its uses. The next tray, I have some cough drops. I actually have one in my mouth right now because I was coughing earlier in the video. It came in handy. I have 3 different tubes of glucose oral gel. Those will help me if I have a diabetic issue. I also have other friends that are diabetics, so having that around is just a comfort factor. I have a couple of different tubes of burn cream, welder, blacksmith. Yeah, I get burned. I have Lanasil ointment. I have some flexible, larger size bandages for some bigger cuts. And then in my bottom tray on this side, it moves into the regular Band-Aids. I have a various assortment of sizes and shapes and things. I even have some pirate first aid Band-Aids for the kids. You know, if I go to like a Ren Fair or something, or I'm working at an SCA event, they get a little cut or a nick, you give them a pirate Band-Aid, hey, it's all better. The Band-Aids I have are also kind of like my gloves. I have the regular and I have the latex free. I have, let's see here, these are the antiseptic wipes. I have alcohol wipes. I also have insect sting relief patches, which are great if you're out on a hike. I have a few eye droppers and things down on this end. Now over here, I have more Band-Aids, different sizes. These are good for your knuckles or just like little tab Band-Aids. I also carry New Skin. It's great stuff if you're working in a shop and you don't want to wear a Band-Aid because the Band-Aid's just going to rub off anyway. Another small roll of tape. Gauze pads, my regular first aid scissors. And I just have so many different types of Band-Aids in here, it's not funny. And these are Band-Aids that really I've collected over the years. I've bought a couple of different first aid kits. Components of those kits are in here. And this is pretty complete for what I want to do. Now I do have some things that I've taken out of this kit that I'll talk to you about in a moment. But that pretty much covers the basis of a good first aid kit, and it's a great foundation for any type of kit you want to build in the future. So I hope you enjoyed the video and I hope you learned a little bit about it. But I want to take the time and talk to you about those 3 things that I took out of this kit. So stay tuned. So what were the 3 things I took out of my first aid kit? Well, there are 3 things I intend to put back in as soon as I make sure they're working. I took out a blood glucose meter and a flashlight. So 2 out of the 3 things had a very distinct problem. They didn't work, the batteries were completely stone dead. So once they're replaced, they will go back into my kit. The 3rd thing that I took out was a bottle of Aleve. And it struck me as odd that I even had a bottle of name brand Aleve because I'd been buying the generics for so long. Well, flipped it over and sure enough, 18 months ago they expired. So again, you want to make sure that the things in your kit are up to date and working. Also, you want to make sure you know how things in your kit work. You want to know what medication is safe to give someone, so you don't really want to carry that sort of thing if you're not familiar with it. If you have a blood pressure cup or a stethoscope or any of the more interesting things that I had in the kit, you want to know how they work before an emergency happens, and you want to be trained in how they work. So you can pick it up, put it on the person's arm, take the blood pressure, and you know what you're working with. You don't need to be sitting there reading a manual as an emergency is there unfolding before you. So being prepared, going back to the whole Boy Scout thing again, is key when it comes to dealing with an emergency situation. So, is this the end-all, be-all first aid kit perfect for everyone? Absolutely not. This video was just intended to be educational, to give you some thoughts and ideas as to what's out there that you can put in your kit. Ultimately, you want to customize it for your family. If you have a loved one who is asthmatic, you may want to keep a spare inhaler in here, or any of the medications that are associated with any type of illness that someone in your family may have. Having a backup supply is always a great thing, and having a water-resistant big box that you know where it is in a crisis is always good to keep something like that in. If you have someone in your family who can go into anaphylactic shock due to a bee sting, a peanut allergy, or something of that nature, keep a spare EpiPen in here. It doesn't hurt. If you do choose to keep medication in here, take your supply, put it in the kit. When you've exhausted your supply at home and you refill your prescription, put the new bottle in the kit, take the old one out of the kit and use it before they expire. Keep on rotating your stock to make sure things stay up to date. That way in an emergency you are taking good medication that's full strength and hasn't expired yet. But ultimately, first aid kit aside, to prepare for an emergency situation, you want to be mentally prepared. You want to know that if something happens, you can handle it. There are community first aid classes, there are CPR classes. If you're in a scouting program, I've been learning about first aid my whole life being in the Scouts. There are other organizations out there who will simply show you what you want to know. The only thing that I don't have certifications in at the moment is child and infant CPR. And I've got my other certs through the American Red Cross. And when my certs go up for renewal, I fully intend to take the child and infant CPR class because I have 2 nieces, one of which is about 19 months old. So having that level of knowledge is going to make me more at ease in a situation if, God forbid, an emergency happens or somebody gets hurt. Being mentally prepared is most of what you need, because even without a first aid kit, you still know what to do, you know how to react, and you won't overreact. So that being said, I hope you enjoyed the video, I hope you learned something. Subscribe, stay tuned, there's going to be more stuff like this, but there's going to be a lot more stuff out in the shop with the welding and the blacksmithing, and we're going to have the sparks flying and the hammer swinging. So, this is Jeff from Darkmoon Metals. Have a great year, and I'll see you again soon.